Thank you, and good to be in Sydney again after 12 months as well, and to be allowed out of our state to travel again. So, and thanks for that introduction. It sounds like I've been around a bit too long, but I'll give you an update of how we've performed in the last 12 months at Wiluna, which is one of the largest underdeveloped gold systems that I've seen for a while, and certainly one that exists in the northern ends of the goldfields, which has been somewhat underdone and poorly attacked in the last 10 years or so because of various balance sheet issues and false starts and plans. We have a modest underlying operation that's generating very good cash flow at the moment, $2 to $3 million a month. We're actually a profitable operation, although that's a transitional cash flow, which I'll talk about, and we're in the process of developing in a staged way, a two-stage process to get Wiluna to about 250,000 ounces of production. About 200,000 of that will be in concentrates, 50,000 or so will be gold doré on site. While we are actually unravelling and repositioning the understanding of the geological system at Wiluna itself. I'll focus on Wiluna today, but what we sit on is actually 1,600 kilometres of gold ground with probably another 3 or 4 Wiluna lookalikes that only will get looked at in the next year or two in terms of starting to work physically and drilling to understand those. The goldfields is obviously where the northern end of it, Kalgoorlie Norseman is at the south, is the largest gold producing region in the world, and it's the largest gold endowment in the world, and it has some of the biggest plumbing systems, and I believe we sit on one of the bigger ones that is only modestly understood to this date, but it's already total endowment about 11 million ounces. We have 7 million ounces in resource, about 4 million in high-grade resource, which is about 2.5 grams. We sit on a modest reserve at the moment, underground about 600,000 ounces, 670, and we have a reserve of free milling material, tailings and stockpiles that will continue to produce about 600,000 ounces, and that will continue in parallel as we're developing the sulphide story. The company's really started this journey when we put some money in April last year, renamed it, recrunched the stock, put a new management team in place with a more focused, staged approach to deliver an outcome. And the first part of that was actually a lot of geological work to put the database into a usable form, into a single resource that we were happy to sign off on, and then start developing plans and reserves and extensional drilling. Wiluna's got 6 rigs operating at the moment, 6 to 8 at any one time. There's 3 underground, and I'll show you what they're doing. They're basically all working on resource conversion of known resources, areas to convert to reserves or to infill resources right next to development that we have already. That'll add to the significant short-term cash flows. And the main focus here is to keep strengthening the underlying cash flow, to transition the company to the ability to then get to 250,000 ounces, which is about the minimum size for the scale that we're talking about, to then look at right sizing Wiluna, which is going to be a lot bigger once we do the work over the next 3 to 5 years. So that's our capital structure. We are in a heightened level of disclosure at the moment. We're in a capital raising. There's a rights issue out there that's open. I've just extended that through to the 17th of May. There's a reason for that. We're in the middle of completing a debt piece that goes with that, and we just want to make sure that all shareholders get the opportunity to trade on full information in terms of their rights once we get closer to knowing and announcing where we are with the debt piece, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But we expect to be able to close all of that in the next month or so. We are obviously a responsible miner, like everybody is. We have a very disadvantaged community that we're working in. We do a lot of work up there. We pride ourselves in making sure that when we rejuvenate and develop Wiluna this time, it'll join the world as a modern mining area with extremely efficient technology to use power and resource utilisation, power generation. We are looking at significant solar and wind penetration in the next stage, not the current stage that we're doing. We've just put in a 10-year power contract. We've got a gas pipeline there. We've got a airstrip. We've got a road. So the accessibility to Wiluna, relative to a lot of other parts of the world, is very, very good. It takes us an hour to fly from Perth to there. We've got all the infrastructure they need, and we've got all the approvals. And there's a significant amount of invested capital in infrastructure, water, reticulation, bores, and power stations and many other things that other companies would need to build if they were to aspire to get to the sort of production rate I'm talking about. And we have all our approvals in place as well. So as I said, we're at the northern end of the goldfields. We have 1,600 kilometres of what we believe to be some of the most fertile gold ground in the world. We have embarked on a modest but very staged process to make sure that what we know already can be brought into account for shareholders and commercialised, while we try and, as I say, you'll see a lot more information probably every 6 weeks coming out on our drilling results and our updates on geology. And there was a gentleman before talking about seismic. We've just done a 2D seismic survey. It's taken us 3 months to process that. It's probably going to be out in the next few weeks in terms of the results from that. Quite a stunning, I think, tool to use to be able to map out how big these systems may be and then where you go in the future to keep expanding. In the meantime, we have plenty of extensional targets to drill. We have already stated to the market very clearly that our current resource base of 7 million ounces is going to grow between 5 to 7 million ounces in the next 3 years, based on what we know already, at between 5 and 7 grams a tonne, which means we're not only trying to increase the scale of Wiluna, we're trying to increase the grade envelope for the higher grade underground mining portion, while we try and understand how we commercialise the broader system as we do those studies. We've got a very good team that I've put together that has all the skills and knowledge to be able to tackle a project of this size, which you need to do. This is not a small project, and it's not for the faint-hearted. It has to be attacked properly, both from an engineering and a balance sheet perspective. That's the reason why we've got into significant capital raising, because we now are fully funded to complete production to 120,000 ounces and finish a feasibility study and resource development program for the next stage, so we can actually go and fund that sometime early next year. The interesting thing about Wiluna, when it's been successful, it's actually mined the main Wiluna ore body. So back in the 30s, Lord Benali was, lending money to people to buy equipment at mines, and then ended up owning most of the mines in WA. He financed Wiluna out of the London market. It was the largest mine in the empire, 1.5 million ounces produced, and it was very profitable. And it had flotation as its underlying production. And they used that flotation concentrate, they put it into a roaster and turned it into gold doré. It was a very profitable time until gold price went to $30 and the war came and they started mining antimony rather than gold, and things changed, and Lord Benali went on to the sunset, and I think a bit disgraced at the time, but a very famous man. Very famous asset. It's as profitable as many others, but it hasn't seen a lot of day in the last 10 years. Back in the 80s, when CIP was invented, the Horgan family went and built a winery called Lewin Estate off the back of that blue stuff back in the 80s. That's what built it. That's still down there. It's a very profitable mining-built vineyard and a great wine, of course, as well. And then Asako and others came in, and they brought in BIOX, but the BIOX was underpinned by a concentrator. There was a clean concentrate produced. The BIOX is just a converter. It converts concentrates into gold. That BIOX plant operated successfully for 23 years. It's the same as the plant in Victoria at Fosterville. It's a sister plant, essentially. We won't be doing that. When we start producing concentrates in October, we have an offtake with Trafigura and with a leading converter of gold in Russia, Polymetal. They're a $17 billion company producing 1.5 million ounces of gold. They're our alliance partner. And because they're building the facilities on the east coast of Russia, we don't have to put that capital in now. We actually are going to sell them the high-grade concentrates for the time being, while we still produce gold on site from our free milling materials, while we work on our long-term plans to eventually maybe put a converter in alongside selling concentrates as well. So we're not concentrating our risk into only one cash flow stream. The reason we're going pressure leaching with our partners, concentrates again, because that's the largest ore body there, is because it is the most environmentally and most sustainable and least costly route to gold production from concentrates. Arsenic pyrite cannot be stabled in the atmosphere other than through a pressure vessel. Once you put it through a pressure vessel, it's got an inert product which doesn't pollute the atmosphere anymore. So if you go into the global markets and you want to go and meet your ESG requirements, as we stated, you need to go to a environmentally friendly method of producing gold, which is what we're doing. That's our stated ambitions. We're in stage one now, well into it. I'll show you some pictures. Doing the drilling, the reserve drilling for stage two, and we'll have a feasibility study published for feasibility for stage two, sometime in November, with the full bankable feasibility completed early next year, with a board decision and a funded proposal to go to that stage two at that point. Beyond that, we have a number of underlying scoping studies to look at the broader mineralisation. There's another 3 or 4 million ounces of gold that's not in those plans, that actually is already drilled at Wiluna, which needs to be converted to a business plan. And as I said, we're going to add another 5 million minimum to that in the next 3 to 5 years, based on the programs that we've got at the moment and the drilling we're doing right now, and extensional drilling. And we are currently fully funded, when we complete the current funding arrangement, fully funded to do all that, basically. So that's the Wiluna main system. We have done a 2D survey, seismic survey through here. You'll get some, I think we'll get an update coming in the next few days from our drilling. We do it sort of mid-quarter update on drilling, and we'll have some news on that seismic survey and what's that showing. If that's successful, when we go and truth test it, that is actually 4 kilometres strike length. The parallel ore body up here, there's another Wiluna just there, it's 2 kilometres that way. And then we've got another one 200k south, and we've got another one 8k south, another system that looks similar geologically. We are currently only focusing on this in terms of my talk today, and this 5 kilometre by 5 kilometre cube. We'll probably do a full seismic survey in the next 12 months, which will give us a lot more extensional targets. Not that we need too many at the moment. We've got 6 to 8 rigs drilling these things that we know about already. Our main focus is in here, and we're drilling the extensions here at the moment. That's just some of our aspirational plans. We've got certainty in the first couple of stages, and then really the right sizing of Wiluna, once it's understood and the engineering studies are done, will come through in the next 3 years. In terms of what we've achieved in the past 12 months, we've grown the reserves beyond what we expected. We embarked on a program to drill up about 400,000 ounces of reserves for the stage one work. We got 662,000 ounces, which was great. So we're now into stage two work. Essentially, we've got a 7-year plan for that stage one. We've invested about $57 million into this mine development and expansion. So far, we've long dated our power contract to 10 years, including a battery to stabilise our operations so we don't have to use diesel as backup. We've gone and basically, long dated our water supply. We've got all our approvals in place. In terms of when we talk about discovery, that's mainly resource definition work at the moment. We have some stunning results, and just go look at our mid-quarter releases and our quarterlies if you want to have a good look at the results. I don't believe there's many companies putting out the results we're putting out in the last 12 months. There's been 90,000 metres drilled up until September last year, and I think up until now we've got another 35,000 metres, and these are all high-grade, decent width intersections that are going to contribute to an immediate conversion into a commercial plan that's already approved, which is a bit different to some of the other companies that are obviously having to go through their great ore bodies, obviously, and exploration's very popular at the moment, which is great to see. They're all the future mines, but ours is convertible to cash flow a lot easier because we've already got the infrastructure and we are doing the expansions already. This is an interesting one. This is an ore body that's been supplying, that's the main Wiluna structure. It's probably a bit hard to understand, it goes in that direction. This runs into so this is a quartz high-grade, typical WA quartz reefs. We're mining down here just a little bit. We were going to be out of here in the next 2 months. So in the quarterly I just put out, I've said we're going to have to stay here longer because we just found significant extensions to this ore body. That's the original golden age, 3 million ore body. This is already 3 times as big as we are. We have mined in the past. You can look at the grades there. So we're going to develop out to the ends and start stoping back. So we'll see this producing cash flow alongside the concentrate for the next 18 to 24 months from what we know already. And that's been a positive for us. Some of the pictures, geoengineering is constructing the concentrator. We've refurbished the crushing milling plant. Burn cuts done doing the underground, obviously the surface drilling. And that's a fair bit of activity on site on these various streams, all going pretty well. We are on track to deliver our stage 1 commissioning in October with a view ramping up to production to 120,000 ounces. The funding, that's all out there. It's for people to go and have a look at. We should have that closed, as I said, in the next few weeks. The placement's been put away. The entitlements issue is in progress, and the Mercuria debt, we should have a lot to say about that in the next couple of weeks. That will close as well in the next few weeks. So we are, as we say, we're in the right place. We've got a very good Tier 1 location. We've got a very, very good Tier 1 possible asset if it's delivered and executed properly. And we're going to continue to improve our underlying cash flows to be able to attack this ore body in a methodical way, so in fact we can actually get it to the market in a way that doesn't further affect our capital structure beyond what we've had to do to date. So thank you very much for your patience and attention, and if you want to talk to us, we're at the booth. Feel free to come and talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Milan.